8, 9, 12, and 15. Hello!
Hi again.
How was everybody this fine day?
I know, better than yesterday, I hope.
Well, things seem to be working a little bit better in my current hotel studio here in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And I've removed one of the hardware devices out of the chain that may have been causing some problems, and I'm using as my monitor the big screen TV in my room. Seems to be working, although it's huge, and everything is.
That's what she said.
That's what she said. Oh, you and Liz said it at the same time. That's amazing. Yes, I do have something huge in my hotel room. My gut. That's supposed to be a joke. You're supposed to laugh, not look serious. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
I thought you were just, being straightforward with the ladies and gentlemen out there.
Well, I mean, I guess I was. Hello, Mike. Hello, Tanya. Yes, round 2, take 2. Let's see if we can get this thing finished
My
today.
wife saw your posting this morning, Michael Kuipers, on Facebook and said, "Oh, did you have a few problems with the show last night?"
Yeah, just one or two. Like everybody had issues with something.
Yeah. Exactly.
No, Liz, I don't think Liz had any issues, did she? No. Well, you were late because you had to take that call, but that wasn't really an issue. We kind of knew about that. Everything else was a surprise. Anyway, so yeah, I am here in... how am I going to do this?
Oh,
I could just start with playing Plain Tales.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And I don't necessarily have to say anything about, hey, I'm in Myrtle Beach or anything else. Okay.
Well, you could start by saying, right, we finished the last bit disaster, and we've moved to a new place, new start, new everything.
A new disaster. Oh, you know what?
Yes.
I should probably do. I should probably start up Reaper so that I have something to actually record all of these tracks. Well, that's what I'm doing right now. I'm opening this thing up right now.
Jolly good idea. I'm going to hit my recorder as well.
Let's see. Recent projects. I don't even have the app up yet, so hang on.
Oh, it's too late.
I'm glad we were talking about recording things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Boopity boo boo boo. Bitty boo boo. What we need is a pretty girl in a swimsuit holding a board up saying round 2, walking sideways across the screens.
Where's Jilly, Liz said. Tell her to put her swimsuit on.
She's
make a sign.
busy watching Roger Federer play Wimbledon.
I understand.
Which I'm sure Liz has in the background somewhere.
She said yes, she's doing the same thing.
Yes.
Let's see.
All the girls like Roger Federer.
Is he a good-looking guy?
Apparently, yeah. But I mean, he comes from Switzerland, the most boring place in the world. So, yeah.
You think that it's the most boring place in the world?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
I was going to say England, actually, but
but we have too many wars to be boring. The Swiss don't have any wars.
Yeah,
all they do is make chocolate and cuckoo.
That sounds like a good place for me to live because I don't like conflict or confrontation, and I do love chocolate.
Oh, you'd love Switzerland then. Yes,
I should move there. Maybe I'll do that.
Yes.
Hey, I'm going to be retired in 2.5 years and a single man.
Yeah, you could.
I don't know. I'll put the RV in a shipping container and ship it over.
I'm sure you could
solutions
drive
for all
most of the way.
I could drive most of the way. Yeah. Yeah, roads that go from here to there, I'm sure.
Well, you might have to do a little bit of shipping.
Yeah. Okay, I'm recording on Reaper. Looks like I'm getting signal from CleanFeed and from my own microphone and from you, Nick, say something.
Peter Piper, Pickle Pepper.
All right, that's good. And
I always thought a Reaper was a damn drone that used to go around blowing people up.
It is. This, for some reason, maybe it stands for something, but it's all it's all uppercase. REAPER. It probably stands for some kind of an audio something or other. But it's Yeah, the Carolina Reaper, the Grim Reaper, all those things. That's what I think of when I think of Reaper. I think of the Grim Reaper. Oh, no. Yes, like that guy, the airplane Reaper.
Yeah.
And I'm saying Reaper, not Raper.
I'm very glad. Let's just get that straight.
Okay. Getting signal there, too. Okay, that's good enough, Joey. You can stop now. When he recorded that, he was like 11.
Oh,
amazing
wow.
talent. Yep, definitely a prodigy. Okay. All right. Here we go. Well, welcome back. This is episode 479, tape 2. If you were listening / watching the first attempt at episode 479 yesterday, you'll know that it was just an unmitigated train wreck, total disaster.
Oh, it wasn't that good, Jeff.
No, yeah, you're right. It wasn't quite that good. And I attempted to play your wonderful plane tale, Nick. And apparently everybody was screaming at me online, everywhere. I was getting it from everywhere. That the problem with my connection was that I couldn't even respond to any of it to let you know. I know. I'm trying to stop. I can't do anything. I lost complete control.
What did you do with your keyboard?
So I wonder if I can play. You want me to try to play that?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, okay. I thought it was kind of amusing. Some people actually thought it was serious and were concerned about me, and I said, "Well, it's kind of."
Well, we're always concerned about you, Jeff.
Yeah, you're always concerned about me, and I do appreciate that. So let me see where am I going to put this thing? I'm going to take this and drag it over to something that will play a sound. How about right here? And then, okay, are you ready? Here we go.
Yeah.
If my keyboard, if this would work, I could type something, but I can't. It doesn't work. Oh! I fell out of my chair. That's the keyboard that I'm hitting against my bed, or one of the beds in my room. But I actually did, when I turned around in my desk chair, I actually fell out of my chair. Yeah, what else could go wrong?
The end of a very frustrating few hours.
Yeah, it was a frustrating couple of hours, that's for sure. And I'm sure it was kind of frustrating for the people watching it. Well, you know what? They probably were amused by it, but we weren't.
Well, the strange people we have watching this show, they probably were indeed.
I know. So what we're going to do is, that was approximately the 2-hour point, and we're thinking that we'll go ahead and replay or just start over the plane tale so you can actually hear it. And let's make sure that the control room is ready with the images. Okay, we're getting a green light from the control room. So with that, let me push this button and hope for the best. And so here we go. This week's episode or installment of the Old Pilot's Plane Tales, Check-In Confessions, Part 1.
The Old Pilot's Plane Tales. Check-In Confessions Part 1. The Good.
Okay.
Over their careers, airline pilots and doctors, come to that, will have stayed in a myriad of lodgings during their overnight stays, and the vast majority will have merged into a conglomeration of memories. But every now and then, one or two will stand out from the rest. In this little tale, the crew have kindly shared some of their experiences, starting with the good. The bad and the ugly will follow on next week, so be sure to tune in. I took it upon myself to dive in, so to speak. Despite the odd awful dive over the years, Hong Kong did give us several upmarket layover spots. One was the 5-star Lang Place Hotel, the address of which was 555 Shanghai Street. Now named the Cordis, Hong Kong, this delightfully posh hotel had 4 or 5 stylish restaurants and bars to choose from that ran from an alfresco terrace with twinkling lights, iPad menus and big sofas to the place with its high ceilings, waterfalls and tropical plants. The rooms were spacious and beautifully appointed, with heated mirrors that didn't mist up, a bath that massaged your back through water jets, and a vast bed that was so soft and covered with fine Egyptian cotton of such quality that it felt like I was sleeping in a cloud. When we checked in, we had a private area not far from the drop-off point where we were treated to cool face towels and glasses of champagne or fruit juices. I sometimes wondered if that was to keep us away from their normal quality guests, as we were usually a bit crumpled and smelt of armpits after a 20-hour day. The hotel was joined to a huge upmarket shopping mall, where it was easy to waste time if the weather was hot or during the rainy season, when being outside could feel unbearable. This mall was one of the first vertical malls in Hong Kong where space is at a premium, and it rises over 15 floors. It has a 9-story glass atrium which lets in natural light and huge express escalators that rise up 4 floors each, allowing visitors to travel to the 12th floor 250 feet up in no time at all. The mall spirals around the upper expresscalators, and on the ceiling computerized images are projected which are programmed to coordinate with the mall lighting. Back in 1988, when it was built, it was part of an urban development program that cost 10 billion Hong Kong dollars, but sadly it destroyed some old favourite areas of Kowloon, such as
What is going on here? Oh, the shenanigans are starting again.
I don't know, Jeff. What is going on?
Oh, no. Wait a minute. Well, I don't know why it stopped. I didn't do anything. It says it's 17 minutes and 24 seconds long.
Give it another go?
Yeah, I suppose. And unfortunately, using this program that I'm playing the sound effect in, I can't just like cue it up to where we just left off. Oh, yeah, I guess we need to start again. So I guess subtract about, what, couple of minutes?
5.
Or add a couple of minutes, 5 minutes? Okay. I'm sorry. Is the sound level okay?
Okay. Your sound level is fine. The tail was a bit loud.
Okay, but I did turn it down, and so is it still loud?
I had been out having a pee,
so okay.
I'm not sure.
Gotcha. Yeah, Liz says that she thought it was okay once I turned it down.
Good.
Okay, fingers crossed. Let's see what happens. Try this again.
The Old Pilot's Plain Tales. Check-in Confessions Part 1. The Good. Over their careers, airline pilots and doctors, come to that, will have stayed in a myriad of lodgings during their overnight stays, and the vast majority will have merged into a conglomeration of memories. But every now and then, one or two will stand out from the rest. In this little tale, the crew have kindly shared some of their experiences, starting with the good. The bad and the ugly will follow on next week, so be sure to tune in. I took it upon myself to dive in, so to speak. Despite the odd awful dive over the years, Hong Kong did give us several upmarket layover spots. One was the 5-star Langham Place Hotel, the address of which was 555 Shanghai Street. Now named the Cordis, Hong Kong, this delightfully posh hotel had 4 or 5 stylish restaurants and bars to choose from that ran from an alfresco terrace with twinkling lights, iPad menus and big sofas to the place with its high ceilings, waterfalls and tropical plants. The rooms were spacious and beautifully appointed, with heated mirrors that didn't mist up, a bath that massaged your back through water jets, and a vast bed that was so soft and covered with fine Egyptian cotton of such quality that it felt like I was sleeping in a cloud. When we checked in, we had a private area not far from the drop-off point where we were treated to cool face towels and glasses of champagne or fruit juices. I sometimes wondered if that was to keep us away from their normal quality guests, as we were usually a bit crumpled and smelt of armpits after a 20-hour day. The hotel was joined to a huge upmarket shopping mall, where it was easy to waste time if the weather was hot or during the rainy season, when being outside could feel unbearable. This mall was one of the first vertical malls in Hong Kong where space is at a premium, and it rises over 15 floors. It has a 9-story glass atrium which lets in natural light and huge express escalators that rise up 4 floors each, allowing visitors to travel to the 12th floor 250 feet up in no time at all. The mall spirals around the upper expresscalators, and on the ceiling computerized images are projected which are programmed to coordinate with the mall lighting. Back in 1988, when it was built, it was part of an urban development program that cost 10 billion Hong Kong dollars, but sadly it destroyed some old favourite areas of Kowloon, such as All right, now I'm really confused.
I'm sorry. Let me turn my microphone on so everybody can hear me.
I'm just going to check the file, Jeff.
Well, here, let me try it. I'll try the version to play in Evernote. Maybe we'll have better luck with that. But yeah, it got to the same exact point.
Yeah.
In Soundbite. So here, Evernote. And Plaintail is right here, and here we go. Sorry, Liz. Do you want me to try to cue it to that point? Do you know about where we are? How many minutes in? Or okay. Okay, that would be easier for you, wouldn't it, Liz? Okay. Here we go. Fingers crossed.
The Old Pilot's Plain Tales. Check-in Confessions Part 1. The Good.
Yeah.
Over their careers, airline pilots and doctors, come to that, will have stayed in a myriad of lodgings during their overnight stays,
Okay.
and the vast majority will have merged into a conglomeration of memories. But every now and then, one or two will stand out from the rest. In this little tale, the crew have kindly shared some of their experiences, starting with the good. The bad and the ugly will follow on next week, so be sure to tune in. I took it upon myself to dive in, so to speak. Despite the odd awful dive over the years, Hong Kong did give us several upmarket layover spots. One was the 5-star Langham Place Hotel, the address of which was 555 Shanghai Street. Now named the Cordis, Hong Kong, this delightfully posh hotel had 4 or 5 stylish restaurants and bars to choose from that ran from an alfresco terrace with twinkling lights, iPad menus and big sofas to the place with its high ceilings, waterfalls and tropical plants. The rooms were spacious and beautifully appointed, with heated mirrors that didn't mist up, a bath that massaged your back through water jets, and a vast bed that was so soft and covered with fine Egyptian cotton of such quality that it felt like I was sleeping in a cloud. When we checked in, we had a private area not far from the drop-off point where we were treated to cool face towels and glasses of champagne or fruit juices. I sometimes wondered if that was to keep us away from their normal quality guests, as we were usually a bit crumpled and smelt of armpits after a 20-hour day. The hotel was joined to a huge upmarket shopping mall, where it was easy to waste time if the weather was hot or during the rainy season, when being outside could feel unbearable. This mall was one of the first vertical malls in Hong Kong, where space is at a premium, and it rises over 15 floors. It has a 9-story glass atrium which lets in natural light, and huge express escalators that rise up 4 floors each, allowing visitors to travel to the 12th floor 250 feet up in no time at all. The mall spirals around the upper expresscalators, and on the ceiling computerized images are projected which are programmed to coordinate with the mall lighting. Back in 1988, when it was built, it was part of an urban development program that cost 10 billion Hong Kong dollars, but sadly it destroyed some old favourite areas of Kowloon, such as Hong Lok Street, otherwise known as Bird Street, where devotees of their songbirds would meet and show off their beautiful singing pets. A new Bird Street was created in an area further east, known as the Yuen Po Street Bird Garden. Scattered around the hotel's many vaulted public areas, covered in cool marble, were amazing works of art, mainly Chinese, and sometimes it felt like being in a fabulous museum. Indeed, the hotel's collection had more than 1,500 pieces of contemporary Chinese art, including pieces by celebrated artists. Right on the top of the Mong Kok Mass Transit Railway Station, a stunningly efficient underground rail system, it was easy to get around, but right next door to the hotel was the famous Nathan Road, full of shopping emporiums that would rival Oxford Street in London or New York's Fifth Avenue any day. The perfect experience was to head out to Kwong Wah Street for lunch at the nearby Tim Ho Wan dim sum restaurant, nestled away in the back streets of Mong Kok. This tiny 20-seat nondescript establishment was easily found from the queues of people trying to get into what was the cheapest Michelin-starred restaurant in the world. Started by Chef Mac and Chef Leung, who both came from brilliant 3-starred restaurants, their new venture was soon noticed, and they were quickly awarded their first Michelin star in this tiny dim sum eatery. I gather that now there are Tim Ho Wan restaurants, which actually means add good luck, around the world, and at least 2 in New York on 4th and 9th Avenues. After a light lunch of barbecued pork buns, vermicelli rolls stuffed with shrimp, and pan-fried water chestnut cake, we would shop around Nathan Road or in the Langham Mall, and then head back for a few drinks in the Portal Bar, followed by an evening meal in the hotel's Ming Court, a beautiful 3-starred Michelin Cantonese restaurant, numbered amongst the best in Hong Kong, and where airline crews get a discount. You try getting 20% off at any other Michelin-starred restaurant in the world and see how far you get. Jeff has been trying to recall his favourite and least favourite layover hotels. The 2 that came most readily to his mind were not necessarily the most extravagant nor the most disgusting, but a couple of most unusual settings. Although he didn't refer to his hotel stays in the US Air Force Military Airlift Commanders layovers, he called them crew rests, he still feels that he must submit his first hotel as the most interesting and exotic. He was flying a C-141B Starlifter mission in the Pacific in 1984, and he recalls that the plan was to leave Hickam Air Force Base in Honolulu for Royal Australian Air Force Base, Richmond, near Sydney, New South Wales, Australia. A planned stop for refueling in Pago Pago, American Samoa, was included. The details are a bit fuzzy in his mind now, but for some reason, after landing in Pago Pago, they didn't continue on their mission until the next day, and they needed lodgings for an overnight stay. He remembers being in awe when he saw the rather large American Samoan gentleman get out of a tiny taxi, wearing only sandals and a brightly coloured traditional Polynesian sarong when they were picked up at the airport. They were driven out to the only hotel on the island, which was operated by the government, the Rainmaker Hotel. It opened in 1965 and in its heyday in the 60s and 70s was referred to as the Pacific's Intercontinental Hotel. He could tell that when it was at its peak it must have been truly extravagant, especially in this setting on a tropical lagoon. He couldn't help wonder if Walt Disney and Company had used this place as a model for the Polynesian Resort Hotel in Disney World. The main dining area and reception was opulent, large chandeliers hanging from high ceilings, with an adjoining bar lounge that was equally stylish. The entire place was erected on stilts to protect it from damage by water and waves and stabilize it in the sandy soil. He doesn't recall the hotel room being any other than a standard hotel fare, but it was lovely and comfortable. He supposed the reason this hotel came to mind when asked about his favourite layover hotel was because of its unique architecture and its ability to send his mind's eye back in time to a different era. Sadly, the Rainmaker Hotel was in its decline when he had the fortune to stay at her, and was demolished in 2015 after sitting deserted for over a decade. Rick also had an exotic location in mind. He told me that it was rare, particularly for a new hire first officer on the long-haul fleet, to end up on the opposite side of the world on a 10-day whirlwind east-to-west trek from Santiago to Easter Island and on to Tahiti. Initial operating experience trips were never flown to the coveted Tahitian paradise. These were almost exclusively trips to Sao Paulo, Buenos Aires, Montevideo, Miami, and Los Angeles. But with the Director of Operations, who was also a line check airman and Chief Evaluator in need of some actual flying, his wife in need of some sun and Mai Tais, and yours truly in need of some instruction, the stars aligned just perfectly, and he found himself in the right seat of a 767 over the calypso blue waters of the South Pacific Ocean. From the onset of the trip, it was clear to him that his commanding officer's mind was squarely set on the company-paid vacation they were about to embark on, and upon reaching the top of descent point, an air of anticipation and glee filled the flight deck. As to why would become abundantly clear just a short while later. The parking brake was set and the shutdown checklist completed. The purser asked over the interphone if she was cleared to open the main doors to disembark, to which the captain answered in the positive. This particular airport didn't, or at least at the time, do jet bridges, so when the main cabin doors swung open, the humidity characteristic of those latitudes and the sweet smell of the ocean breeze quickly filled the cabin as passengers happily stepped down the air stairs to the tarmac below. Neatly nestled on the northeast side of Tahiti's Punauia district, right on the Vaitupa Bay, and with a direct line of sight to Far International Airport's Runway 4, sat the Intercontinental Tahiti Resort. As the crew transfer pulled into the main entrance, tiki torches everywhere, a smell of tropical flowers and upbeat Polynesian tones filled the air. The grandiose yet rustic lobby looked like something out of a James Michener book, and the staff seemed genuinely happy to see us. Welcome drinks and Polynesian leis were handed to everyone, and upon making sure each member of the crew was squared away, the skipper made his way to his villa with his betrothed. Or at least that's how it seemed, and he never saw him or his wife until the end of their 3-day stay. Post-flight or instruction briefing be damned, but can you blame him? The rooms were meticulously decorated in Polynesian motif, and the signature restaurants, the Titiaire and the lagoon-side Le Lotus, with their vast selection of French and Polynesian cuisines, made for quite the unique yet pricey outing. White sands, clear crystal waters, and a steady supply of tropical cocktails made it absolutely impossible for our young pilot to focus on his studies at all, which in all honesty did worry him a bit, as he was, after all, flying with the guy in charge of the whole thing. The dreaded day to finally check out arrived, and unsurprisingly, every single member of the cabin and flight crew, sporting a golden brown tan, seemed thoroughly disappointed to leave and fly back east to reality. As for my concerns of showing up unprepared for my return flight to San Diego via Easter Island, I quickly realized they were unfounded, as the skipper, while sporting a halfway crooked smile, asserted, "You don't come to a place like this and expect anything besides a tan and a hangover." Well said, Rick. What a lovely experience. Steph said that as far as hotel experiences go, more so than the rest of the crew since she travels for work infrequently, she's generally the party responsible for picking where she spends her evenings away from home on vacation or for conferences. As such, she can recall far more good hotel experiences than horrible ones. The one that truly stands out, though, and that she would highly recommend to anyone listening, is the Old Western House on the leeward island of Montserrat in the Caribbean. Music lovers may know that in the late 1970s and early 1980s, Beatles producer Sir George Martin opened Air Montserrat, a sister studio to the Air Studios in central London, and hosted some of the biggest names in rock and pop to record their albums there. Brothers in Arms by Dire Straits, Synchronicity by The Police, and Too Low for Zero by Elton John are just some of the classics recorded during the decade of the studio's existence. Old Western House was owned by George Martin, and it also served as a temporary home for many of the visiting musicians who came to record at Air Studios. Sadly, the studio was irreparably damaged during Hurricane Hugo in 1989, but George Martin continued to visit the island regularly, staying at the Old Western House during the holidays and at other times of the year. Tourism to the island then declined significantly after the Soufriere Hills volcano erupted between 1995 and 2000, destroying the capital city of Plymouth. Old Western House was thankfully outside of the zone of destruction from the volcano, and today is operated as a guest house. I booked it for a family vacation in 2015, and we were not disappointed. The house is filled with Beatles and Air Studios memorabilia, including original black and white photographs by Linda McCartney in the hallways and gold records in each of the rooms. The property is green and lush, with a constant breeze from the sea, as you'd expect in the Caribbean. The on-site restaurant and bar is one of the best eating establishments on the island. Hopefully one day I'll have the chance to go back and visit. Alveston House is truly an unhurried respite from the rest of the world and charming in every possible way. I love that we have finished this APG travelogue on such a great note, but gird your loins, dear listener, for the other side of the coin in next week's tale.
Interesting that all of our favorite selections had something to do with water, tropical settings.
Well, they were certainly all in warm places. Mm-hmm. I mean, Hong Kong, of course, is surrounded by water, but it's not exactly one which
it's not really tropical.
As a tropical paradise.
Yeah.
No. But
anyway,
you three were all very similar in your choices, I thought.
Yeah, we didn't discuss that at all. I don't think I had any idea what anybody else was going to choose. So
no, it's good. It's good. Actually, I'm really looking forward to the other side of the coin next week. That's
if we can persuade what I've chosen. I don't even remember what I put down. I do now. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, it was an odd place. Yeah. Anyway, well, that's great. Nice job putting that all together, sir. And
thank you.
I hope everybody enjoyed it. I know I did, seeing everybody else's
I
selection.
enjoyed it the fourth time round. It was very nice.
Well, now, not everybody that's listening to the audio podcast knows that we had to play that. And that the first, 25% of it, everybody has memorized that's here watching the live. Yep. 555 Shanghai Street. Yes, we know the address of your favorite place, Nick.
Yeah, it's very true.
Anyway,
it's hard sometimes, though, isn't it? Picking one spot because there are so many good memories. There you go. Right.
I agree. And to be honest, the company for which I fly really puts us up in pretty nice places. It's really hard to come up with a bad experience, a bad place, and usually it's out of the control of the company. So anyway, let's do this. Why don't we try to knock out some feedback?
Good idea.
Or some more feedback. I think we already did a little bit. So let me move over here to our notes. And which one would you say, Liz? Number 8. Okay, here we go. This is from Logan. Hi, APG family. Microsoft Flight Simulator and X-Plane have been mentioned a couple of times in previous episodes, so I thought I'd share my experience. I started using Flight Simulator back with Microsoft Flight Simulator 2001. Back then, the graphics were pretty dang amazing for the time. Fast forward to 2010, Lockheed Martin released their own simulator called Prepared. It looks like it's Prepare 3D, but it's I guess the 3 is kind of like being cool, so it's pronounced Prepared. It was geared towards training in an educational environment, particularly on the military side of things. I've actually been using version 4 of the simulator for about 5 years now. The add-ons available are amazing. You've got companies like PMDG that specialize in most of the Boeing family of products, FS Labs that have done an amazing job on the Airbus A320, A320, that's the same thing. That must be a typo. A320, A330? I don't know. What do you think? Because he has A320/A320. Oh, you're muted, Nick.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, it could be that, or it could be just the A320, A321 family. So.
Okay, maybe 321. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not quite sure. He said that's his favorite purchase so far, and Aerosoft that have done amazing renditions of the CRJ. Fast forward again to August 2020, and you'll find the much anticipated release of Microsoft Flight Simulator. Microsoft and ASOBO, Asobo, I don't know how to pronounce that, had teased this for at least a year. I can tell you the graphics and realism of this platform are absolutely stunning. With Bing map data, Asobo was able to make the simulator feel and look as real as possible. They've also been able to inject real-time traffic data from FlightAware into the sim. So what is flying in the real world, you'll see it in the sim. I could go on and on. Here are a few shots I've taken over the past year, and oh shoot, sorry Logan, I did not. Oh, maybe I can still do this here. So let me see if I can click on this link and share this screen with everyone. My work is being synced to this computer. Okay, that's nice. Thank you for that message, Google Drive. Okay, share, screen, and window, and see if I can find it in here somewhere. I don't see it. That's strange. Maybe I'll go with the Chrome tab. Oh, here it is. Share. Okay, can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me see here. This first one is, oh, look at that. Wow. That is, I'm not sure, is that a Bonanza?
Bonanza or something?
Yeah, it looks like it. Here we go. Oh, look at that. United Express RJ. I mean, these look really real. I don't know what that is. Oh,
I don't know.
look at that.
Oh,
That's
wow, look at that.
Some kind of a high-wing Bush airplane. I don't know which model it is. That's some kind of a Piper, I believe, isn't it? Probably people watching this are probably yelling at us. Yes, it's a blah, 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 blah. I don't know, sorry. Yeah, that looks like some sort of... oh, that's
Watch out
what
below.
that used to be a Bombardier product, and now an Airbus product, the A220.
Mm.
Yeah.
And it's over an airfield, so I don't know.
It is some airfield there. What airfield is that?
I don't know.
Yeah, that
four
could be
runways.
Yeah, it does. And there's some mountains over here in the upper left-hand corner. I don't know. I don't recognize it actually. But anywho, yeah, cool stuff. So I'm going to stop sharing this tab. Move back over. There we go. Very good. So thank you for that, Logan. He said, P.S. Anyone who has flown into Oshkosh might appreciate the Bonanza shot near the gravel pit. Okay, that must have been one of the first.
I've never drunk Bonanza shots. What are they like? Are they
well, yeah.
I've had tequila shots and...
A little rough. Yeah.
A bit rough. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Logan, for that. And
yeah, brilliant.
Anybody out there that's into flight simming, definitely check out the aforementioned sim platforms that he was talking, and the aftermarket companies that provide all those very cool airplanes. All right, continuing on with which one? 9? Did you say, Liz? Okay, Mark, the man, the voice, the legend. I may have missed a past episode if you did bring it up, but I would like to hear about your actual connection with Radio Roger. I assume there is a little more personal story than just one day you picked up the phone and called a random agent and hired him to do your intros. And that's from Mark Altergott. That's exactly what happened. Yeah. We called up somebody and said, hey,
he doesn't charge much.
Yeah.
Not $100
at all.
a week. Yeah.
So, the way Radio Roger is a listener to our show. He's part of the community. And we organized a meetup. Was it the first meetup that we did in New York when you were there, Nick, I think?
It wasn't the first. It was the first proper meetup because I'd done a few meetups with a handful of people, one or two, like Yoshi and a few folk like that. Mm-hmm. But this was the first one where I said, look, let's go to the bar and all come along and enjoy. But it was one of the first, yeah.
Yeah, and so I'm not sure who was it. Tanya that organized the location, the venue.
No, I think
Oh,
It
you're the
might
one
have
that
been,
picked it?
but
Okay.
I had a feeling I just Googled IPA near my hotel.
Oh, okay. And what did you come up with?
The Beer Authority.
Yes.
And it looked big enough to have a bit of a meet-up, have some spare room, and a good choice of beers right beside the bus, terminus,
Authority.
I think.
The Port Authority. We had a really pretty decent participation up there. A lot of the folks that live in the New York area were able to join us, and one of those was Radio Roger, and he introduced himself to all of us. And I'm not sure if he had already by that point sent us feedback or not, but I do remember at some point after that meetup, he sent in some audio feedback, and then I think just a one-off, like just playing around, doing an intro for us, right? Is that right, Liz? He did send him some kind of and so I loved it, and everybody else loved it too. And so I contacted Roger, and I said, hey, okay, Tanya, that was 2017. That was Tanya's first meetup because she's in the live audience. And so I loved Radio Rogers doing the intro, and I asked him, would you be willing to do that more often, like every show? and he said yes, and he probably really had no idea what he was getting into. But yeah, so he pretty much, since the time that he started, I don't know, again, what the time frame was from the time that we did the meetup in New York in 2017 and when he actually started doing them on a regular basis. So so like clockwork, except for a couple different times that he was out of town or something and he couldn't get to a microphone to record. And so every week what happens is our producer director, Liz, has a kind of a good idea of some of the news items that we're going to talk about in the show. And we also know the title of the plane tale. This is some behind the scenes information here for you. And where I'm going to be if I'm going to be on a layover or if I'm going to be at home in the home studio. And then she sends that information to Roger, and then he picks usually 2, sometimes 3 of those news stories as a teaser in his intro. And he says where I am and what the date of the recording is. And sometimes, when he records it and the time that we act and location that we actually do it are they don't always match up, but they're pretty darn close. And so anyway, we've been doing that for a while, and I love it. So that's how the Radio Roger thing came about, and I believe it was there at the meetup at the Beer Authority that we learned, or at least I did, that he was a big-time radio TV guy in the New York market and was one of the voices that people recognize on 1010 Wins.
Absolutely. And since then, I got invited out to his house, went out to join his family for a meal to celebrate one of the Jewish religious days. I'm trying to remember which one it was. Forgive me, Radio Roger. I'm thinking, I don't know, Yom Kippur or something. I'm not certain. But it was
like a Shabbat
day.
meal or something like that.
Well, I can't remember. It doesn't ring a bell, but I can't. Okay. But I jumped the train and got out there, and that was brilliant. And also, he kindly invited me up to his studios, so I spent an afternoon watching him do his thing in his studio, doing all the news, etc. And got to see his work environment. Very impressive. I was good stuff.
Yeah, well, obviously you're his favorite because I haven't done any of that stuff with Roger.
Passover, yeah, that might have been it, Passover. Yeah,
yeah, the Seder.
Well, you don't fly into New York very often.
That's true.
To be fair.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. Anyway, if we ever do fly back there again on a regular basis, maybe I can do some of that stuff too. Anyway, Radio Roger is a great guy, and he is a big part of our community, and I consider him part of our APG crew. So
absolutely.
That's the story behind Radio Roger, Mark. And he is the EAA Air Venture Fueler. And maybe I'll see you in 2-3 weeks. Was it 14? Well, about 3 to 4 weeks, I guess. The end of the month. I'm planning on going to Oshkosh for at least a few days. Okay, so I look forward to seeing you, Mark. All right, and you too, Logan. I think that he's going to be there as well. Okay, skipping down to which one, Liz? 12. Yeah. Thank you for going through the trouble of writing all that down for me, and now I'm not referring to any of it. I'm sorry. It's just easier for me to ask you, and you can just tell me in my ear. Okay, number 12. Rob. News pilots helping pilots. Oh, wait, no, news. Okay, here we go. Rob. Pilots helping pilots. It's a YouTube video. Here's another newsworthy story. Pilots helping pilots. Engine failure and unable to reach center air traffic control radio. Airborne aircraft above, helping and giving advice. And then he gives us a link to a YouTube video. And right now we are going to... Now, I must say that when I set up this video, and I got the video so that we could play it on the show, the title of it is American Airlines Pilot Gives Help Advice to a Flight Instructor and His Student. And nowhere here in this video do they mention the fact that the voice from above that was listening on the radio and helped out the flight instructor was the voice of an American Airlines pilot flying overhead. So the flight instructor must have been on 121.5, the guard frequency, and the American Airlines pilot was probably flying nearby, heard the trouble that they were having, engine trouble, and decided to give him some help and some advice. So with that, let's play this audio.
There's something. Gio Benitez covers aviation.
It's every pilot's worst nightmare, the lone engine on the Cessna aircraft failing mid-flight Friday right over that busy interstate. Flight instructor Richard Lee and a student on board desperately try to radio air traffic control, but can't get through. But another pilot flying nearby was listening and jumped on the radio.
Do you think it's a good idea to land on the highway?
Yeah, man, put it down wherever you got. You look good.
Okay. I'm so scared.
You're looking good, man. Your approach looks good. I think you're going to be fine.
That pilot giving life-saving advice.
There's a car.
Maintain a faster than normal airspeed so you have something to work with to put it down between cars. Put it down in front of them, and they'll see you and stop.
I'll try.
You're looking good. Watch that truck.
That plane avoiding every car.
I landed. We're on the highway.
All right, good landing, sir. I'm going to tell Miami you're okay.
And he did.
Turn out okay with that airplane that landed on the highway?
Good, he was talking to us, and yeah, he's fine.
Good deal.
Just an incredible story, and David, thankfully nobody was hurt here, but the FAA tells us it will investigate. David?
Gio Benitez tonight.
Looking at the graphics that they put on the screen of the video, it's funny because anytime air traffic control says something, they put tower. No, it was not tower.
No, no.
I guess we can't get
not
too
even
picky.
Close.
No.
Oh well.
Oh well. Yeah, taxiway, runway, tarmac, apron, all that kind of jazz. Yeah. Anyway, so good job. Luckily, I think he calmed the flight instructor down and was able to, kind of give him some good advice to put the thing down, and it was a happy ending. But the only thing that was weird to me, and maybe it's just me, is that flight instructor, maybe he was brand new or something, but he didn't seem very confident.
No, I noticed the same. So I'm beginning to wonder if it was actually an instructor and student or whether it was just a guy and his friend. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. That could be. As opposed and contrasted with Ben, the CFI that had the engine trouble in the Charlotte area. I mean, he sounded very confident on the radio.
Yeah,
and I know we weren't able to play his audio because we couldn't find it, but I heard it, and I can vouch for the fact that he sounded very calm, cool, and collected on the radio. Quite a contrast to this particular gentleman that we were listening to. But anywho, so that was a good one. So thank you, Rob, for sending that in, and. Thank you. Okay. Oh, this is the last one that Liz is going to suggest, and then she said, I'm on my own. On my own. All right. Number 15 from Philip. Airline hires and airline charters. Hey, guys. I'm Philip. That's what they do on the YouTubes. Hey, guys. I'm Philip, 22 years old, living in Carlsbad, California, and I have my PPT PBL check ride July 22nd. Ooh, that's coming in like 3 weeks. Almost exactly 3 weeks from now. Hoping to pursue a career in the airlines like you fine folks. Who's he talking about?
I have no
us.
idea,
Okay.
since I don't have a career in the airlines.
Oh, yeah, and we're not fine folks. That's the point I was trying to make. He says he has 2 questions. First, I have heard from pilots I have talked to at my local airport that pursuing a job in an airline early can help lead to your success when it comes to being a commercial airline pilot and the hiring process. Well, first of all, I'll tell you that if you're listening to any knowledge, information, advice from a pilot, be very, very careful. Take it with a grain of salt. I know, because I'm a pilot. No, he is right. That pilot that you got that advice, or pilots that you were talking to regarding that, are correct. Let me read the rest of his question. Example being working for Delta at Kilo Sierra Alpha November, which is San Diego Lindbergh Airport, as perhaps ground crew, check-in desks, or flight attendant, just to establish yourself in the airline, make connections, and gain experience in the airline industry. Is this something you guys would recommend or say to avoid? Okay, so I'm confused. I was thinking that when the pilots told you that pursuing a job in an airline early, I was assuming that they meant to get hired as quickly as you can, because in the United States, under our system of seniority, which is like 99% of the commercial airlines in our country, the date that you're hired is going to set your seniority, and that seniority you're going to keep, a relative seniority, throughout the rest of your career. So if you get hired, let me give you an example. Someone hired in the beginning of January of 1988, they turned out to be a 1,000 pilot or seniority numbers senior to me, because I was hired in the last month of 1988, because we were doing a lot of hiring back in 1988. And so that 1,000 numbers of seniority makes a huge difference in your career. It could be the difference between making captain years before the other person can, because of the seniority. It can mean, the type of airplane you're flying, which could correlate also to your salary. It's not really salary, your pay, etc. But I mean, if you're like getting your experience, flight experience and such, and you need to have a job, I don't think it would be a bad thing to try to get on with a particular airline and work as ground crew or check-in desks or be a flight attendant. In fact, a very big part of our APG community, Stephen Ivey, he started out as a flight attendant at ASA, Atlantic Southeast Airlines, before he left them and got a job. Has an engineering degree, and he was working at Georgia Power. And then while he was working for Georgia Power, he bought a part share in a Mooney and started flying the heck out of that thing, trying to build time and hours and ratings. And then I think he finally moved from there because it wasn't happening quickly enough, and he got a job flying survey airplanes all over the place and racking up the flying time, and then finally had enough for his ATP, and then he got hired by SkyWest Airlines, and he's been with them now for a couple of years, I believe. So, I think that it can't hurt for sure. I don't know if it probably would help you maybe get a foot in or a toe in or whatever, as far as maybe have during an interview with that airline when you have all your credentials for being a pilot. It could definitely make a difference between you and another person. So I wouldn't say it's a bad thing. But again, I was thinking that they were probably meaning, get hired as early as possible, because that can make a huge difference in your career. Or whether you furloughed, the other opposite of that. I mean, the people that were hired not long after I was got furloughed, and that really is no good. And I avoided furlough because of when I was hired, and it was all about timing. Yes, Liz? Yeah. Right. Okay, that's a good question. Liz is asking, so let's say he gets hired by, just name an American Airlines in San Diego, or United in San Diego. Would that, his hire date figure in his seniority if and when he finally was hired as a pilot at United. And I think it depends on the company, but for instance, I know somebody at Delta Airlines who was working for the company and then left Delta. You probably know, you've heard of him, Dana. I'm sorry, Acme. He was working for Acme. Oh, shoot. Oh, well, I've spilled the beans. Anyway, he was working as a ground instructor, and then he left the company and went and got his flying ratings and experience, and then was hired again by that company. And his seniority worked in a couple different ways. I believe I have this right. For like his seniority when it comes to non-revenue flying on the airplane, his standby flying, he got to use his seniority from when he was first hired in a non-pilot position. But as far as seniority for bidding vacations and bidding airplanes and bidding trips every month, no. That's based on the hire date of when you are hired as a pilot. Now, again, that's only, in this example, Acme or our sister airline, Delta. But that could be a different thing at a different airline. But I believe that's how it works at most places. So that's a good question.
I've got a question too.
Yes, sir.
I mean, if you've in a position where you've had to receive training from an airline, so you might be a dispatcher or you might be a flight attendant, and you now want the airline to take you on as a pilot, if you're in a big crowd of people trying to get a job, might that actually work against you because the company's already invested time and money in training you into your current position, and particularly perhaps if they're a bit short of people in that role, might they go, well, we don't really want to lose this guy, he's a good dispatcher or a good whatever. There's all these other guys we could take on to be pilots, but let's string this guy along and keep him in his current job.
That is a good question, and I think I would answer it like this. If somebody is trying to get on with your company as a pilot and you say, no, we don't want you, we want you to stay doing what you're doing, I think that they'd be naive because they must realize that, well, if he's not going to fly for us, then he's going to leave us completely and fly for another airline because that's what he really wants to do is fly airplanes. That's just my perspective on that. Yeah. So I Haul Boxes says there's company seniority, base seniority, fleet seniority. Yeah, and again, it depends on the company. At my company, company seniority and fleet or pilot or whatever seniority are the two things that are considered. But base seniority, it's not a separate seniority kind of thing at least for the pilots at Acme. So it might be different where I Haul Boxes hauls boxes. So good stuff. I think he had another question, didn't he? Oh, yes. I follow a Twitter page that tracks all professional sports teams' flights. A majority for the Major League Baseball teams tend to be Delta 757s. Do all 757 first officers, captains get assigned these flights at random? Or do they have to bid for these flights or be on special assignments to pilot these teams around? Okay, so as far as the pilots are concerned, it's pretty much the normal bidding process, and a lot of these charters, are built because we get these a look at the trips the month prior. So the bidding closes about the 11th or so of the month prior to the month you're bidding for. So let's say for August, our bidding will close on the 11th of July. And so if those charters are known at that point, they'll be built into the bid packages or the available trips. And if you know what you're looking for, you can pick them out. And then if you're looking to fly a charter, if you have the seniority to do it, you're going to fly it. You'll get it. Now, the flight attendants, on the other hand, it's a different story. And I flew a bunch of Major League Baseball charters back when I was on the 727 as a first officer back in the 90s, which was really cool because that's when the Atlanta Braves were just going like gangbusters. It was an incredible an incredible number of years there, and doing the charters was a lot of fun. And I got to go to a lot of baseball games, and when we take them to places like Toronto, for instance, we were staying. It was a different hotel name, but it was the same hotel, Liz, that we stay now at Skydome. And we got invited to parties, and we got free tickets to the games, and it was just it was a lot of fun. And and I was a big fan of the Atlanta Braves too, so it was kind of exciting to be around all these guys. And this is back when we did charters; we could actually leave the door open, and they would walk up into the cockpit and check out everything, and then the baseball, usually the pitchers would get up there, and we let them fly in the seat and do like aileron rolls and loop. No, I'm just kidding. We didn't let them touch any of the controls. Trust me, really. If you're watching, anybody in management at Acme, I didn't do that. No,
not often anyway.
Not often. So what was the point of that? Oh yeah, it was interesting because I learned that our flight attendants doing these charters were not just at random. They had to go through a process. They would put in applications to do these charters, and they would interview with people in flight, and they would be selected. And so that they pretty much all. No, Liz is asking a great question, and that would be my assumption, right? That they would all be incredibly good looking. No, I'm not. I mean, they were attractive, but not. That wasn't the number one thing of importance, at least with the baseball players and the football players, were the ones that knew the players, knew exactly what they expected, what they wanted. They didn't bother certain players because they knew that this person does not want to be bothered. They know exactly what they want. So when they came on an airplane, it was almost like they were being in their own home. And that's what they used to select the flight attendants. And these, you'd think that they would be all the young 20-something-year-old just knockout flight attendants, but many of the flight attendants were quite the opposite. They were much more experienced, we'll just put it that way. Seasoned flight attendants. So good question though, Liz. And I was kind of surprised by that. But then when I thought about it, I thought, yeah, that makes sense, because I witnessed this quite a bit at doing these charters and being at some of these parties. I was at a party at Skydome and at the Hard Rock Cafe, I believe, and I was up there, and I was not an old guy like I am now. I was a younger man at the time. I was in my 30s, and I didn't think I was bad looking, but let me tell you this. I was completely invisible in that place because I was not a Major League Baseball player, and these very young, very attractive women in there were looking fixed upon groupies. They were looking at these baseball players thinking, maybe my future husband or my future baby daddy and source of money in the future. I don't know. I
was going to say my future pension.
Yeah, my future pension, sugar daddy, right? And I thought to myself, wow, it must be very, very difficult for these baseball players or professional sports athletes, especially if they're married and have their own families, to just go and look at these amazing things and resist that temptation. It must have been a difficult thing. I didn't have to worry about resisting temptation because it wasn't I wasn't tempted at all. I just got to watch everything going on around me, and it was an interesting aspect, and I did enjoy it. It was fun. You're right, Liz. Okay. So hopefully that answered your question. Okay. Liz is telling me we have about 10 minutes left. Nick, do you have any suggestions? You see something in our feedback?
Well, I'm just going to finish off that last feedback because you missed out the last sentence.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thanks for everything, Nick.
Oh.
The A340-600 is one of the most beautiful aircraft ever built, just saying. And in your honor, Philip, I've stuck one in my background there. Look at that. Isn't it? She's gorgeous.
Look at that beautiful thing.
Gorgeous.
Well, darn it. I was hoping that Nick hadn't noticed that I'd skipped that last sentence. I meant to delete that before we did the show, and I forgot.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
I think
I didn't do that on purpose.
For a last thing, we just need to play Plain Tales again. At least the
no,
first
let's don't play
quarter
Plain
of
Tales.
it.
Liz says, nope, not doing that again. Not maybe part 2 next week, but not part 1. We're over that now. let's see here.
There's
let's do that because we're
of the DC-10.
Well, Liz is saying, why don't we just wrap it up? Because she's right. We're not really absolutely positive how long the show is at this point because of the mess of part one that we did yesterday. So why don't we do this? Why don't we go ahead and wrap things up, and we'll move the leftover feedback into our next notebook, the staging notebook, and we'll do that for the next show. Not sure exactly when we're going to be doing that, but it'll be sometime next week, hopefully. And let's see. By the way, I'm in Myrtle Beach right now. Today was a nice, easy trip, or a couple of flights from Augusta, which was where I was yesterday, that had the terrible internet. Flew to Atlanta and then here to Myrtle Beach, and we were in at like a little bit after 10 o'clock in the morning, I believe. Nice and early. And then tomorrow's our tough day. We go to Atlanta and then Charleston and back. And then when I say tough, I'm being sarcastic. It's pretty easy. 3-leg day. Back into Atlanta at about noon. And, another thing I just remembered regarding the plane tail, Nick. Another reason why and I didn't put it in my narrative to you for the plane tail, but the Rainmaker Hotel in Pango Pango, American Samoa, spelled P-A-G-O, but some reason it's pronounced Pango, was the first time that I lost my wedding band, because at the time I was taking it off and putting it on the nightstand, and I was still pretty, I'd been married maybe just a few years. No, maybe not even that long. I was still kind of a newlywed, and I was horrified when I was somewhere else in the Pacific, probably over the Pacific Ocean, but we had left Pango, and I kind of felt around my ring finger. I thought, uh-oh, where's my ring? And then I remembered that I probably left it on my nightstand, and I probably bumped it off the nightstand onto the floor. And then I had to come home from that trip and explain to my wife that my first wife that I had lost my ring, and then so we went and found a suitable replacement for it that looked just like. And the other thing that was bad about it, supposedly it was her grandfather's ring. Yeah, it was.
You could have just gone and got a suitable replacement.
I should have, and I had done that. Well, never mind. I probably never did that again. Okay. Let's finish up the show, and let's see. Before I say anything more incriminating, let's talk about our website, airlinepilotguy.com, all one word. Well, except for the dot in the middle between Y and COM. And there you'll see a lot of things. You'll see references to the crew and a little information about our little bios and the community. And there's the APG library. Tiffany, our APG librarian, is there to take your suggestions and help you with all kinds of great books if you're into reading books. I guess people still do that. And let's see, merchandise and information about the coffee fund and more detailed information about the plane tails that Nick does. In a way, it gives you instructions on how you can subscribe to Plane Tales. The APG community calendar. I put my schedule on there and try to remove any identifying information there, but you can kind of see where I'm going to be, what city. If I'm in a city near you, contact me, and maybe we can do a meetup. And we're also on social media, and Nick is going to tell you all about that.
Yeah, if you're a Facebook person, you can just find us by typing into the search bar Airline Pilot Guy, all one word. On the other hand, if you prefer Twitter, then at APG Crew is the handle you're looking for, and the Instagram one is very similar. And Steph and I are both on Instagram. You'll find a preview of the artwork. Usually, that's about all I post on it. Usually a day or two before the show comes out. Anyway, the Instagram handle is also APG Crew, and then there's another way you can interact with us, one slightly wetter.
Yeah, because the guy that manages this whole thing It's called Slack. And let me see. You hear that? He's in the... Hey, Hillel! Hillel, do you have time for Slack?
He sounds like he's drowning.
But I'm dripping wet.
Oh, was it kind of loud? Sorry. Yeah, I'll fix that in post. Okay, Hillel, come on over here. Come on over here. They want to know all about Slack and how they can join this great group of folks.
APG listeners, please join us on our Slack team. Slack is a communication, coordination, and sharing platform that works on your mobile, laptop, or browser. On Slack, we share new ideas, we suggest episode and plain tales topics, we plan events and meetups. To get into the Slack team, please email me at slack@airlinepilotguy.com. That's SLACK, Sierra Lima Alpha Charlie Kilo @airlinepilotguy.com, or send me a tweet with your preferred email address to @Hillel, and I'll send you an invitation. That's Hillel, spelled Hotel India 11 Echo 1, and see you in Slack.
Thanks, Hillel. Oh, good thing he's putting on his jeans.
It's caught in my zipper, Jeff.
Oh, careful! Sorry.
Oh, that'll teach him for going commando again.
Good thing we're at the end of the show. I think I need to call somebody in the front desk, and maybe a doctor is somewhere.
A pair of pliers. Just get a pair of pliers.
A pair of pliers will be handy. Yeah. For the zipper, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
What were you thinking?
And I don't know. I don't know what I'm thinking, actually. And also, we have our wonderful in the control room. She is a controller. Producer, out of controller, yes. Producer, director, and my assistant, Liz Piper in Toronto, Canada.
APG.
Oops, nope, that's... you already said the Slack thing. Hello? Stop it.
He's passing you again. Yeah, well done, Liz. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Liz, for all the help and work you do behind the scenes.
I don't know how she kept up with all those plain tales.
I don't know either, but she's a star, a superstar. So thank you, Liz, for that. And until next time, wishing you all clear skies, unlimited visibility, and tailwinds. Take care, and God bless.
Bye, everybody. Boy, am I glad this one's over.
Me too. Yay. Okay, oops.
Thank God for
Fire in the hole!
Oh, whoops.
TMI. All right. Anyway, okay, we'll get back to... another just easy peasy recording of our episode this week. Smooth as silk. They call me Captain Smooth.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
Nothing
man.
can go wrong.
Nothing could possibly go wrong. Hello, Arnie. Now I'm finally looking at the folks in our live audience.
Turning off my recorder.
Yeah, I know, Arnie. Not good timing. Adam and John are doing their No Agenda show on Thursdays and Sundays, so we tried to get it all knocked out yesterday, but I don't know if you were here or not, but it didn't go so well. So
that's an understatement.
Oh, he's saying I'm funny colored. Is my white balance all messed up?
I think you look very handsome.
Well, thank you. All right.
I think the makeup girl just put a little too much orange on your face.
Too much orange? Okay.
Yeah, just a little. But I liked it.
Liz is...
there's a bit of a contrast between the two of us is the problem.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I still don't have a good handle on the exposure and all the different settings for the video. Somebody needs to school me on that because it never seems to work out quite right. Oh, very presidential. Thank you. I'll take that as a compliment. All right.
I did take a note of iHallBox's suggestions for show titles, but
okay.
I've half started pantograph aeroplanes, and there's going to be a bit of canopy in there, and we might
the good old canopy.
Yeah. We might be able to fit an electric pantaloon in there as well. I'm not quite sure.
I'm not sure what an electric pantaloon is, but
the person under the canopy might be wearing pantaloons and get interrupted by the pantograph, the wires on the pantograph.
Sounds interesting. Can't wait to see that. Now, I've adjusted my white balance temperature, and the rest of my room looks like I'm in some kind of a blue world.
Blue moon.
Yeah, so if I click the auto button, and then that gives me that presidential look.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Very good.
Whatever. Doesn't matter. All right, folks. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I hope you'll be able to join us again next week, and hopefully it'll only be one time next week that we do the entire show. And I hope that we have the entire crew here, fingers crossed, but you never know.
It'll also be lovely.
Yes. All right. With that, we're going to hit the end broadcast button and say bye-bye.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for pitching up.
Thanks for all the